Hi guys, we're just into the spring and we're starting to take some of our seedlings that we started indoors. They've grown up a fair amount, and now what we want to do is we want to transplant them into larger containers because the roots are sort of outgrowing the smaller containers that we seeded them in to begin with. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of how we do it. Today we're using some aged compost to sift and sifting it, and then using that as the rest of our medium to add to the larger containers for our seedlings. Okay, so let's get to it. What I want to do is just illustrate, show you how I use my wheelbarrow to sift old compost or aged compost for potting mix. So I just built a frame that fit on that settled on the edges right here of our wheelbarrow, and then built a frame from used wood. Recycled it, repurposed it, and then to make it slippery, or to make it smooth, so the top wouldn't get stuck on here, I just rubbed this all with candle wax. It's an old carpenter's trick, all the way around, and then did the same to the bottom of the top part, which is the screening part right here. Just put candle wax all along here, and attached, just made a 2x4 square frame, and then with some lattice type wood here, attached this 1/4 inch screen. So it fits right on top. This moves right in there, as you can see, and then it slides very easily because of the candle wax. Look at, I'm just going to move it a bit, and look at how it slides all on its own. It's very easy. It looks heavy, cumbersome, but really quite easy to use. So we dump then the compost right here, and mound it up about this high, and then just move this back and forth very quickly so that the finer material sifts down in the bottom. And then simply take the extra, the stuff that doesn't sift through, and place it in here. So this is material that hasn't composted down, is not as fine. I can use this again to activate another compost pile, because there's lots of microorganisms living in this pile. So I can reuse this, and don't worry about the heavy chunks, because they provide oil, they provide a lot of oxygen in the mix, and that's what you want. Want to keep your compost aerobic, and part of what helps that happen is a few rocks sometimes and some pieces of wood, and that keeps it sort of aerated, gives more air pocket space down in there. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off, move this over, and show you what is left. Look at what is left. And we use this, we start our transplants inside in smaller celled containers, and then when they've developed to like about this size, this is where they're at now, when they've developed into a size like this, as you can see, over here and over here. Now notice here the roots are starting to come out a little bit, and what we'll do is just loosen this, and I'm going to lift it. Nice set of roots on here, so nice and full. They've grown actually into the next one beside it, and so they're very full, and so we need to place them, transplant them into a bigger container. Usually for our marigolds we'll use these. They're a 3-inch square, quite ideal, and they have to grow in here another month and a half before the weather's warm enough for us to plant them outside. So I get these for free in the autumn or after the season. I just go Home Depot, go Walmart, different places in the way behind the store, and often they'll have just tons of these things that they're throwing out for the season, and I really haven't. Here, look how many of these I got. These are fantastic, and I just got them all for free. So these ones here usually have to buy, because they don't last very well. They're not as strong, these square cells of things. But Anyway, so we transplant those into those bigger pots using this right here. Now, before we do that, I'm going to add what I call canna maize, which is crushed, powdered, pulverized volcanic rock from extinct volcanoes in British Columbia. And it's been crushed so finely, it's almost velvety when you touch it. And if you throw it up in the air a little bit, the air just becomes all misty with the fine particles. And this is the form that you want to present to the plants, because it's almost immediately usable. Things that are like crushed eggshells and things like that are fine, but those eggshells have to break down quite a bit before the plants can really utilize the calcium that's in them and other things. But anyway, I just wanted to show you how beautiful this material is when you just use a 1/4 inch screen. How do you tell? 1/4 inch will count, 1, 2, 3, 4. That right there, that's an inch. So there's a 1/4 inch screen, and it didn't cost me very much, almost nothing, except I had to buy the screen, and I think I had a few screws around, so it really cost me nothing to come up with this much material to transfer and use in transplants. Okay, so that's it, and I hope you've enjoyed this little demo show and tell on sifting aged compost to be used for planting your seedlings. All right, guys, so here is this canna maize that I was telling you about. It's very fine, and I just took 2 cups and spread it in here. This canna maize, which you can get, just look it up online. If you're here in Red Deer, Calgary area, I think they do have a distribution center here in Red Deer. Canna maize, it has about 63 plus minerals and trace elements. So you can't really beat it for a soil additive. And also, it's not a soil additive that behaves like chemicals. Chemical fertilizers shuts down the soil food web. This one builds the soil food web. So you're not just feeding plants, you are building the soil, which is what you really want to do. You want to benefit the soil while we're benefiting from the product of the soil. Okay, so there you have it, canna maize.